And good evening once again. Day 1217 of the Trump administration, 167 days until the presidential election. For starters here tonight, some quotes from the president today. We'll get into the most of these in detail in just a bit. He said today, looking back on how he responded to this epidemic, he would have done nothing differently. He said, we've done, quote, amazingly well. And we, quote, if you look at the death, relatively speaking, we're at the lowest level along with Germany. When reminded that per capita figures differ, he said this, and we quote, when you see a per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what? But you can look about just about any category, and we're really at the top, close quote. The president does have a point there. We lead the world in both total cases and death toll. This was the day Donald Trump has been laser focused on, and that is because it's the day all 50 states now have reopened to some degree or another, even if that means only certain areas or businesses can begin to get back to normal after a 2-month lockdown that brought the nation and its economy to a standstill. Keep in mind, a lot of states still have not met the government benchmark for reopening. And keep in mind that at least 23 states have now reported increases in this disease just this week. That's almost half the nation. For his part, the vice president, the head of the now silent coronavirus task force, was in Orlando for lunch today. No masks, no problem, as he joined the governor and other customers and traveling staff. The president was back at the White House meeting with the governors of Arkansas and Kansas, as we quoted a moment ago, taking up the administration's success in this pandemic.
What would you have done differently facing this crisis?
Well, nothing. If you take New York and New Jersey, which were very hard hit, we were very, very low. And in terms of morbidity and in terms of, you look at the death, relatively speaking, we're at the lowest level along with Germany. And I think that's it's a great honor. And that's including New York and New Jersey, which have had they had a very high number.
According to Johns Hopkins, Germany's death toll is 8,144 people, total population in Germany of just over 80 million. Tonight, the death toll in the United States stands at 93,740. As we continue to try to illustrate that number, assuming capacity of 155 souls on board, our death toll is the equivalent of killing all the passengers on board 605 Boeing 737s. Put another way, a plane crash a day for the last 605 days. At its current rate, the national death toll would exceed 100,000 within the next several days. Tonight, the New York Times, quoting a new Columbia University research study that says if the U.S. had imposed social distancing measures just a week earlier in March, roughly 36,000 fewer Americans would have died in this pandemic, and the outbreak, we remind you, is far from over. World Health Organization says just today, over 100,000 new cases were reported in these last 24 hours, making it the most yet in a single day since the discovery of the virus. Parts of the U.S., as you know, have been open for weeks, but it wasn't until today that the Centers for Disease Control quietly rolled out its long-awaited, long-promised, more detailed guidelines for schools, restaurants, and mass transit systems. There were reports the CDC's original guidelines were shelved by the Trump White House, and reports of tension between the CDC and the administration.
Yesterday at the Republican lunch that you were complaining about the CDC and the delayed rollout of testing. Do you think that...
No, I wasn't complaining. I don't know who gave you that. It's fake news.
Do you think Robert Redfield is doing a good job leading
Yeah,
the
I
CDC?
do. I do. It's fake news. At the beginning, and again, I didn't put CDC there. CDC's been there long before the Trump administration came in. But they had a test that was something happened to it. It was soiled. It was soiled and or foiled. But it was a problem, a short-term problem. I'm not blaming CDC for it.
The president went on to again claim the United States is way ahead of everybody else when it comes to testing, But the COVID tracking project reports just over 12 million people have been tested in the U.S. That's roughly 3.8% of our national population. That has medical experts still worried about the pace of reopening and the likelihood of a second wave. Americans themselves are worried as well. A new AP poll finds that 83% of respondents say they fear lifting restrictions will lead to a rise in infections. One scientist shared his concerns earlier on this network.
We've seen this virus enough to know that it's not like you're going to see a kind of a linear, gradual increase in the number of cases, so you have a heads up. What happens is there's a lag, there's nothing. All of a sudden, 6 weeks after opening up the economy, you're going to see a dramatic increase. We have the potential risk right now by the fall of having 6 or 7 or 8 cities that look like New York or look like Queens, New York.
And tonight we got one more sign of pandemic precautions beginning to ease. NCAA Division I Council has voted to allow athletes in football, men's basketball, women's basketball to resume voluntary on-campus workouts starting June 1. Meanwhile, the president also spent today engaged in a sort of political competition. He was busy lashing out at officials in swing states of Michigan and Nevada over efforts to expand voting by mail. Today, Trump wrote Michigan, quote, sends absentee ballots to 7.7 million people ahead of primaries and the general election. This was done illegally and without authorization by a rogue Secretary of State. I will ask to hold up funding to Michigan if they want to go down this voter fraud path. Trump had to correct that post. It was applications for ballots, not ballots. He was wrong as well about anything illegal about it. And his attack came on the eve of his trip to Michigan to tour a Ford factory where they make ventilators. It also came during a time of record flooding in portions of Michigan, which we will report on later in this broadcast. Late today, he seemed to back down off his threats to withhold federal funds while still making those unproven allegations about voting by mail.
Mail-in ballots is a lot of illegality. They send in ballots that they harvest ballots. You know all about harvesting, and they do lots of bad things. Ideally, people go out and they vote. Now, if you need a mail-in ballot, if you need a specific, like as an example, I'm in the White House, and I have to send a ballot to Florida, that makes sense. So if you need it for some reason, or if somebody's not well, that's one thing. But when you send out 7.7 million mail-in ballots, there's forgeries.
What fundings are you considering withdrawing from Michigan?
We'll let you know if it's necessary. You'll be finding out. They'll be finding out very soon if it's necessary. I don't think it's going to be necessary. We're going to help Michigan. Michigan is a great state. I think we're going to do very well in Michigan. I guess we just got a poll that's very good right here.
One more thing we learned from the president today was about the drug he has been claiming incorrectly can help prevent the coronavirus.
Come on, we're done.
I think the regimen finishes in a day or two. Yeah, about it. I think it's 2 days.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.